Lead sponsors Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and his wife Lauren Sanchez Bezos named honorary co-chairs. When the announcement was made that they donated a reported $10 million to the museum's Costume Institute, the backlash was swift, with some accusing the couple of buying their way to the top of the fashion world.
Something unusual is happening behind the scenes of one of the world's most talked about billionaires. Jeff Bezos, once inseparable from Lauren Sanchez, now seems distant, and people are starting to ask why. Even more intriguing, those close to his past, including MacKenzie Scott, may have seen it coming long before anyone else did. Is this just a shift in priorities, or is there a deeper story unfolding? Join us in this video as we break down the real reason behind the silence, the distance, and the clues everyone else missed. The moment everything started to show. Something shifted the moment the cameras caught it. At the Vanity Fair Oscars party in March 2026, Lauren gave Jeff an icy look and subtly motioned for him to step out of her frame. The clip spread fast. People replayed it, slowed it down, and tried to read what wasn't being said. Experts pointed to his tight smile, his empty eyes, and the stiff posture of someone trying to look happy without feeling it. Behind the scenes, insiders say things have felt different since the wedding. During the holidays, Lauren was full of energy, constantly moving, laughing, and celebrating, while Jeff seemed to struggle to keep up. One source said he looked completely drained. Even in Aspen, where they were seen shopping, the contrast stood out. She was lively and upbeat, and he moved slower, quieter, almost tired. Another insider admitted he may be happy, but he's clearly worn down trying to match her pace. The carefree smile he showed back in 2019 now feels different. These days, it looks more like a performance for cameras than real joy. And through all of this, MacKenzie Scott has stayed completely silent. No interviews, no hints online, no public reactions. Instead, she has focused on giving, donating a staggering $26 billion, and saying nothing at all. That silence might be louder than anything she could have ever said publicly. And the contrast keeps fueling speculation. While Lauren Sanchez continues to appear energized and highly visible at events, Jeff Bezos has been noticeably more reserved, often standing slightly behind or off to the side rather than leading the moment like he once did. Body language analysts have begun pointing out subtle patterns: less eye contact, shorter smiles, and a tendency to disengage quickly when the spotlight intensifies. It's not one moment, but a series of small signals that, when put together, paint a different picture than the one being presented publicly. Friends close to the circle insist everything is fine, but even they admit the dynamic has shifted. And in a world where every gesture is captured and dissected, those shifts don't go unnoticed. Whether it's pressure, exhaustion, or something deeper, people are starting to wonder if what they're seeing is the beginning of a much bigger story quietly unfolding behind the scenes. But while his world changed, what was MacKenzie quietly revealing? Keep watching to find out. What MacKenzie chose to say without speaking. In 2025 alone, MacKenzie donated $7.2 billion to nonprofit organizations. That single year of giving is more than what Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez have contributed to charity in their entire lives combined. Today, MacKenzie stands as the third most generous philanthropist in the world. She has given away 46% of her total net worth, a number that continues to grow with each passing year. Her focus is not random. She supports organizations centered on racial justice, education, food security, and women's shelters, causes that directly impact people who are often ignored, people who feel invisible, people who feel forgotten. And that raises a deeper question. What is she really saying through all of this? Because when you look closer, her actions begin to tell a personal story. MacKenzie understands what it feels like to be overlooked. Even when she was married to one of the most powerful men in the world, she slowly faded into the background of her own life. Now, she is making sure others do not have to feel that same kind of silence. She even redefined herself in a quiet but powerful way. She did not return to her maiden name, Tuttle. Instead, she chose MacKenzie Scott, using her middle name to build an identity that belongs only to her. Not her father's name, not her ex-husband's name, just hers. It was a clear step toward becoming fully independent. The contrast between these two women could not be clearer. While Jeff spent $76 million on a wedding, MacKenzie gives away billions to help people she may never meet. While Lauren leans into designer fashion and public attention, MacKenzie works through a model known as trust-based philanthropy. She gives without conditions, without demanding her name on buildings, and without needing recognition. One woman arrived after the wealth was built. The other was there before it existed. MacKenzie stood beside Jeff when he had nothing. She believed in his vision. She drove cross-country with him while he worked on a business plan. She helped pack books in a garage. She raised their children. She grounded him in reality. She was not just a partner, she was part of the foundation. And yet, that partnership was replaced. The man who built Amazon by understanding people better than almost anyone fell into something far more predictable. The woman who once resisted his gifts eventually became part of a life where he spent more on a wedding than most countries spend in a year. It was a shift that did not happen overnight. McKenzie likely saw it long before anyone else did, not out of bitterness and not because she wanted him to fail, but because she understood him deeply. She recognized that the man she fell in love with had already begun to change. Success had reshaped him in ways he may not have fully realized himself. The version of Jeff who valued simple family moments had slowly disappeared. The affair was not the beginning of the story. It was proof of something that had already been unfolding for years. Over time, McKenzie was pushed further into the background of their relationship until she became almost invisible within it. And when she finally stepped away, he chose a partner who would never challenge him in the same way. Today, MacKenzie Scott is no longer defined by her past marriage. She is known as one of the most influential philanthropists in the world, someone using her wealth to create meaningful and lasting change. While Jeff focuses on space and the future beyond Earth, McKenzie is focused on improving life here and now. While he builds rockets, she builds impact. While he chases legacy in the stars, she creates one through compassion and action. And while he stands on red carpets forcing a smile beside someone who once pushed him out of frame, McKenzie quietly gives away millions without needing attention. She never had to explain herself. In the end, his choices have told the story for her. Before her silence spoke volume, let us go back to the very beginning of what happened. The scandal that changed everything. Long before the headlines and public moments, Jeff Bezos and MacKenzie Scott had a very different story. They met in 1992 while working at D.E. Shaw in New York. Their connection was immediate. Within just 3 months, they were married. By 1994, they had both walked away from stable careers to chase an uncertain idea, starting Amazon from a rented garage in Washington. It was a risk they took together, building something from nothing side by side. For more than 25 years, their relationship appeared steady from the outside. Then, on January 9th, 2019, they shared a joint statement announcing their divorce. The message was calm, respectful, and carefully worded. They described it as a decision made after a long period of reflection, promising to remain friends and continue their shared lives in a different way. But the timing raised questions almost immediately. Just 1 day later, a major tabloid released a story claiming Jeff had been involved in an affair with Lauren Sanchez long before the separation. The report included private text messages dating back to April 2018. The tone of those messages was deeply personal, revealing a side of him the public had never seen before. Along with the text, the publication claimed to have access to intimate photos as well. The situation quickly escalated beyond a typical celebrity scandal. By February 2019, Jeff responded publicly, accusing the tabloid's parent company and its leadership of trying to pressure and control him. He described threats involving the release of even more private images if he did not back down from investigating how his information had been leaked. What started as a personal matter suddenly became a public battle involving power, privacy, and influence. The story took another turn when Jeff's security consultant suggested that the leak may have been part of something much bigger, even pointing toward possible international involvement tied to political tensions. While some officials later supported aspects of that claim, others maintained that the source was much closer to home. Reports continued to circle around Lauren Sanchez's brother, Michael, who was accused of sharing private material with the press. He denied certain claims and even filed a lawsuit, but the case did not hold up in court. Lauren herself later spoke out, describing the situation as a painful betrayal within her own family. What began as a quiet divorce announcement quickly turned into one of the most talked about scandals in recent history. And in the middle of it all, the foundation of a decades-long relationship came apart in full public view. As the scandal unfolded, how did it reshape their life and future? Stay tuned to find out. Power, wealth, and the life that followed. The divorce between Jeff Bezos and MacKenzie Scott moved quickly and was finalized by April 2019. At the time, Jeff was the richest man in the world, with a net worth estimated at over $137 billion. The settlement itself was historic. MacKenzie received $35.6 billion in Amazon stock, instantly making her one of the wealthiest women on the planet. Jeff, however, retained 75% of their shared Amazon stock along with full voting control, ensuring he would continue to shape the company's future. Almost immediately, MacKenzie became the third wealthiest woman in the world. Meanwhile, Jeff began shifting his focus. He stepped away from the day-to-day operations of Amazon, the company that started as a small online bookstore and grew into one of the most powerful retailers in history. Though he remained executive chair, his attention turned elsewhere. In a letter to employees, he explained that he would now focus on projects like the Day One Fund, the Bezos Earth Fund, Blue Origin, and the Washington Post. As his professional life evolved, so did his personal one. After several years of dating, Jeff proposed to Lauren Sanchez in May 2023. The setting matched the scale of his world, a starlit evening aboard his $500 million mega yacht. He placed the engagement ring under her pillow, catching her completely off guard. She later admitted that when she opened the box, the moment felt so overwhelming, she nearly blacked out. The ring itself became a symbol of that world, a 20-carat pink diamond worth around $2.5 million. From there, their relationship became increasingly public. They appeared together at major global events, including a high-profile political inauguration where they sat among some of the most powerful figures in technology and business. It was a clear display of influence, visibility, and status. By March, invitations had already been sent out for their planned summer wedding in Italy. That same month, they attended the Vanity Fair Oscars party, where Lauren wore a bridal-style gown, signaling what was to come. Around this time, Jeff also spoke openly about Amazon's growing role in entertainment, including its control over the James Bond franchise. Lauren's presence extended beyond social events. She joined an all-female crew on an 11-minute trip to the edge of space aboard Blue Origin. The mission included well-known figures from entertainment, media, science, and activism. While some celebrated the moment, others criticized it heavily, questioning its purpose and calling it excessive. The attention didn't stop there. In May, Lauren celebrated her bachelorette party in Paris, surrounded by celebrities and close friends. Photos shared online showed a carefully curated image of glamour, connection, and celebration. Her caption spoke about friendship and the women who supported her journey, adding a more personal layer to the public display. But not everyone was impressed by what they were seeing. In Venice, where the wedding was planned, protests broke out. Demonstrators gathered at the historic Rialto Bridge, hanging banners that openly rejected the event. For many locals, the issue went beyond a wedding. It became a symbol of wealth, influence, and the growing concern that even cultural landmarks could be shaped by those with enough money. One protester explained that allowing such an event sent a message that a city, no matter how historic or meaningful, could be treated like something to be bought. It was a moment that highlighted the growing tension between extreme wealth and public perception. As Jeff stepped further into this new chapter of his life, the contrast became impossible to ignore. His world was now filled with grand gestures, global attention, and constant visibility. And with each appearance, each decision, and each headline, the distance between his past and present seemed to grow even wider. But how did Lauren Sanchez, the new wife of Jeff Bezos, blend into the world of fame and wealth? Let's find out. When influence becomes transactional. Lauren Sanchez Bezos, now 56, didn't just arrive in the fashion world, she was welcomed at the highest level. Last June, she appeared on a digital cover of Vogue, a move that signaled clear approval from Anna Wintour herself. The feature was used to spotlight her lavish wedding in Venice to one of the richest men in the world. The guest list alone made headlines, filled with names like Kim Kardashian, Oprah Winfrey, and Leonardo DiCaprio. There were even whispers that Wintour had a hand in selecting her Dolce & Gabbana wedding gown, though people close to the couple pushed back on that claim. But to some insiders, this moment represents something bigger than just one cover or one wedding. Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, a former Vogue events planner who helped shape the Met Gala for years, sees it as part of a deeper shift. She pointed out that there was a time when access to spaces like Vogue or the Met Gala wasn't immediate. It was something people grew into through years of work, creativity, and cultural impact. It meant something. Now, that sense of earned prestige feels less clear. At the same time, the financial side of things has never been stronger. The Met Gala recently brought in $31 million, the highest total in its long history. From a business perspective, that success is hard to ignore. And with Jeff Bezos' fortune now estimated between $230 and $241 billion, it's easy to see why his presence carries weight in these spaces. Reports suggest that conversations about the couple supporting the gala may have started years ago, though some say the outreach happened after their wedding. Either way, the result is the same. The Bezos name is now directly tied to the event, appearing across invitations and branding. Some insiders believe their contribution could be closer to $20 million. Even those who helped build the event acknowledge that it has changed. What was once a celebration of designers, creativity, and artistic expression now feels different to some. The guest list, the energy, even the purpose, it all seems to be evolving. Interestingly, this isn't Jeff's first connection to the gala. Back in 2012, Amazon sponsored the event, and Anna Wintour even offered him guidance on what to wear. At the time, it barely made waves, but things are different now. The scale, the visibility, and the image surrounding him have all grown. Despite criticism from parts of the fashion world, one thing remains clear. The influence of Jeff and Lauren cannot be ignored. In industry terms, they are considered very important clients, a small group of buyers who drive a large portion of luxury sales. Fashion, in many ways, has adapted to serve this exact kind of customer, and Lauren represents that shift perfectly. She embraces visibility, luxury, and open displays of wealth in a way that many others once avoided. For some, that feels excessive. For others, it reflects a changing culture, one where showing success is no longer subtle, but expected. What has the couple focused their time on as of recently? Keep watching to find out. Buying a seat at the table. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. Bezos didn't just attend the Met Gala, they helped fund it. The couple reportedly paid at least $10 million to sponsor fashion's biggest night, instantly securing a powerful position inside one of the most exclusive events in the world. That kind of move doesn't go unnoticed, especially in a space where influence and access are everything. Their presence placed them directly in the inner circle of Anna Wintour, the longtime gatekeeper of the fashion elite. They weren't just guests, they were named honorary co-chairs, sharing that title with global icons like Beyoncé, Nicole Kidman, Venus Williams, and Wintour herself. It's a level of status that usually takes years, sometimes decades, to build. To some observers, this moment said everything. One former Vogue editor described the couple as the current image of the American dream, pointing to their wealth, visibility, and unmistakable display of luxury. In that world, approval from Anna Wintour carries its own kind of power. And by all appearances, the Bezoses have it. But not everyone sees this as a natural rise. Behind the scenes, some in the fashion community are uncomfortable with how quickly that access seems to have been secured. One insider admitted feeling disappointed, suggesting that influence at this level is starting to look like something that can simply be bought. For an event that has long been tied to art, culture, and creative legacy, that shift feels significant. The criticism didn't stop there. Around the same time, the couple was also seen attending a high-profile state dinner honoring Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla. Lauren's appearance, highlighted by an extravagant set of emeralds, only added to the growing perception of excess and spectacle. For some, this new version of influence, where money, visibility, and status blend so openly, feels out of step with what these institutions once represented. The Met Gala has always been about more than just wealth. It was about taste, influence, and cultural contribution. Now, people are starting to ask whether those lines are beginning to blur. And once again, the contrast becomes hard to ignore. As Jeff and Lauren move deeper into spaces defined by power and image, questions continue to follow them, not just about what they have, but about how they're choosing to use it and what that says about who they've become. And as that conversation grows louder, it's no longer limited to fashion insiders or critics behind closed doors. Public perception is beginning to shift in real time, shaped by viral clips, social media reactions, and the constant spotlight that follows every move they make. What once might have been seen as aspirational is now, for some, starting to feel excessive or even disconnected from reality. The idea of earning a place through creative contribution is being challenged by the visibility of financial power opening doors almost instantly. Supporters argue that this is simply how influence has always worked, just more transparent now. But skeptics see it differently, pointing to a broader cultural shift where prestige can be accelerated rather than built. And in that tension, the Bezoses have become a symbol of something bigger than themselves. Not just a couple navigating elite spaces, but a reflection of how those spaces are changing. Whether that evolution is accepted or resisted remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. People are paying closer attention than ever before. What do you think about the reason Jeff Bezos is avoiding Lauren Sanchez? Let us know in the comments section below. In the end, this wasn't just about a relationship, it was about change, truth, and what goes unsaid. And maybe the real reason Jeff Bezos is pulling away is something MacKenzie Scott understood all along. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real stories behind the headlines.